video for the review here, and I actually want to pick it up with one that I did on part 2. So if you watch part 2, I made a mistake here on number 16 that I realized after going through teaching you guys the lesson for 7-3. So let me just kind of show you my mistake here. So we're looking at finding the value for this differential equation that's modeled here. So what I did was I moved over the 2h plus 1, which that's not where I made my mistake in the video. That's 2h plus 1. And I moved the dt over. But here's where I made a mistake. So I need to do u substitution and replace this with 2h plus 1. And then so du is going to be 2dh. But you'll notice that I have just one dh up there. So I have to move that 2 over with division. So that means I'm going to have 1/2 du is the same as dh. So let me write this here. So I have the integral. I've got 1/2. Let me do this. So 1/2 times, and I have du over u. So if I clean that up a little bit, I'm going to move the 1/2 out front, and that's u to the negative first power du. And we talked about in class that if you take the antiderivative of u or anything to the negative first power, that's the natural log of the absolute value of u. But you got that 1/2 you got to bring down. All right, and on the right side, since we're just doing the integral of dt, that's just going to be t plus c. So that's t plus c. But in terms of plugging back into what I have 1/2 times the natural log of 2h plus 1 equals t plus c. And if I move that 1/2 over, I need to multiply both sides by 2. So that's going to make this become, let me make sure I have my plus 1. There we go. Make sure that's going to become 2t plus c. So in the previous lesson, or I should say video, part 2, I said the answer was c, when in fact the answer is part D because of having to do this u substitution. All right, so just keep that in mind as you're trying to do some of these. All right, let's move on to slope fields. All right, now 17 is interesting. So for this one, I'm going to show you how I'm going to use Desmos to help me kind of sort this out. But if I were to draw a solution here with this initial condition of 0, 1, that means I've got to go through 0, 1. So watch kind of how I do it. I'm going to try to avoid hitting any of the actual slope tick marks. It's kind of hard. All right, so this would be a possible solution. All right, so when I'm looking at these answer choices, and some of them I know without graphing, but I'll graph all of them so that way you have an idea of kind of what's going on in my brain. So the first one is cosine of x. So cosine of x. The second one is 1 minus x squared. The third one is e to the power of x. Don't worry, I'll move that back in a moment. Then we have the square root of 1 minus x squared. I think the last one is 1 over 1 plus x squared. I'll confirm. Yes. Okay, so let me just go one by one. Now, the reason I actually did not need Desmos for this, to look at this graph. Can I make this smaller? Did that do anything? No. Move it up here. So if you look at, you know what, this might help. Let's just zoom out a little bit. All right. So if you look at the cosine function, and again, I know what the cosine function looks like, and I know that when you look at this, you don't have an asymptote right here, right? It's going to cross, cosine of x is going to cross the x-axis like you see in the graph here, crosses the x-axis. So I know it's not going to be cosine. So letter choice A won't be it. Letter choice B is a parabola that opens down. And again, a parabola that opens down, if I focus on it, you'll see crosses the x-axis. And in this case, we have that asymptote there essentially. So it's not really, not going to work for us. E to the power of x, that's just the natural exponential function. So it looks like our exponential growth. That's not matching what's in my blue here. Then the square root of 1 minus x squared is a semicircle. Right, again, that doesn't match either because I have the asymptote. So you'll see the only one that makes sense is this one here, where it kind of looks like my blue one that I sketched. So the answer choice for 17 is going to be E. All right, let's try 18. Same kind of type of problem, and I'll do the same thought process here. So if I were to sketch a solution, all right, and it doesn't give you like a point that it needs to go to, right? So essentially, you're just doing any type of solution here, right? You can go through any point that you want. All right, so I'm looking for something that looks like this, all right? Again, I know what x squared looks like, so I know it's not going to be that one. I just graphed e to the power of x. It's not going to be that one. And we'll go through, it's not cosine, we know that one. So really it's coming down to this e to the negative x or the natural log function. So let me put these in. I think you're probably good on, I'll just keep them all since we're here. This is e to the power of negative x and then the natural log of x. Okay, so let's start with, I think the parabola is first, right? It doesn't look like that. Then e to the power of x, it's not that. It's not cosine, we know what that looks like. Here's e to the negative x, right? Which looks like it's going the other direction, right? This is growth in my problem, but this e to the negative x is showing decay. So the natural log of x looks like that one makes more sense in terms of matching what I have for my sketch. So the answer is going to be e for the natural log of x. That's how you kind of need to do those if you're looking at trying these on the test. All right, now let's do some stuff that we did in our slope field activity in class. We're going to plug in some values here. All right, so I'm trying to match up, right, the slope field for this differential equation. And you know me, I like to do a table. All right, I just like to do x, y, and the value of our dy dx. All right, so I'm going to start with 1, 1. All right, 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2. So I'm zooming in on 1, 1. Hoping to see a slope of 2. This one does not have a slope of 2. It looks like it's a negative slope, so it's not A. For letter C, there's 1 all the way over here. Be careful with that. 1, 1. That's a really steep slope. That doesn't look like a 2. That looks like it's very steep. Letter B at 1, 1. That could be 2. I don't know yet. And then 1, 1. That looks even steeper, so probably not D. All right, so I think it's B for now, but let me check to see another problem. Let's try negative 1, or let's try 0, 1. So 0, 1 is going to be 1. I look at D, 0, 1 actually has a horizontal line, so that's not going to work, right? It should be positive 1. And this one has that line there, so that's positive 1. So it is B. Number 20, same idea. I'm going to do some points here for x, y, and the function. I think this one will be a little bit easier to sort out because you can kind of see it a little bit better. All right. So in my first one, let me just kind of show colors for which one I'm doing. I'll do red for this one. So let's do red. I'm going to do, looks like if I do 0, 1, that could be interesting. So 0, 1 for red would mean that 0, 1, I should have 0, right? 0 times 1 is 0, but I have a slope of looks like positive 1, so it's not going to be that one. Let's try a point for this one. All right, let's try 0, 1 for that one. So that's 0 times 1 is 0, 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And I remember the slope we just found at this one was positive 1, not negative, so it's not B. Let's try 0, 1 for C. All right, 0 times 1 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. That could work, so that's a possibility. All right, so let me try another color here, orange. Do 0, 1 for this one. So 0 times 1 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. We know the slope is not 0 for that one, so it's not orange. And finally, let's do purple. I'll do 0, 1 again. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 cubed is 1. So it could be that one that matches my green one. Let me try 0, 0 for purple. I think you'll see something happens here. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 cubed is 1. But at 0, 0, we have that horizontal no slope. So not going to be E. So the only one that makes sense ends up being answer choice C. All right. Now, again, these are the points that I chose. You can choose lots of different points. It's up to you which ones you want to choose. Let's do the same thing for 21. We got x, y, and then dy dx. All right, so let's start with this first one here. All right, so be careful when you do this. It looks like every kind of tick mark is a half, so just be careful there. So let's try it looks like 1, 1 might be interesting because that would be a slope of 0. So 1 minus 1 is 0, 0 over 1 is 0, so that could work. Let's try it for this one here, part B. 1 minus 1 is 0, 0 over 1 is 0, so it could be green. Let's try blue. 1 minus 1 is 0, so it could be that one. So I haven't narrowed it down at all yet. So 1 and 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 over 1 is 2. So at least, okay, I got 1. I narrowed down. It should be 0, not 2. So that's good. Got 1 down. 4 to go here. And let's see, 1 plus 1 is 2. We know it's not 2. So, okay. So that narrowed it down at least to these 3 here. And let's try another point. Let's start back with red. All right, so let's do, let's try another one over here where it's kind of the same idea, negative 1, positive 1, because that's going to be another slope of 0 there. All right, so let's see, negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 1 squared, that's 0, and 0 over negative 1 is 0, so that could work. Let's try that same point with the green one. Okay, negative 1 squared is positive 1. 1 minus 1 squared is 1. That's 0. So 0 over 1, that could also work. So it could also be that one. And let's try the blue one. Maybe we can narrow down this one. Maybe not. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 1 squared is 0. So that didn't help me. That stinks. All right, let's keep going. Let's try some more points. Make another table here. All right. Let's see. Where do I want to go now? Let's try negative 1, 0. Let's try that. All right. So I'm going to go to the red one here. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 0 squared is 1. 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. All right. Which that could be it, right? Negative 1 right there could be it. Let's try it with the green one. So negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 0 squared is 1. 1 over 0 is undefined. Interesting. So for the green one, letter B, that should be a vertical line. It's not. So it's not letter B. Let's try C. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 0 squared is going to be positive 1. All right. So that should be a negative slope. There we go. Finally got it. It's answer choice A. Okay. Let's go to 22. All right. Now 22. We're going to solve this using separable equations here. So I'm going to move the y over to be underneath my dy and actually leave the 4 alone there with the dx. All right, so this is one of those where you take the integral of y to the negative first power dy and the integral of 4 dx, so the antiderivative. This is the natural log of the absolute value of y. That's one that hopefully you have memorized now, equals 4x plus c. We did this in class. I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to put e in front of them to make them powers. This becomes the absolute value of y equals e to the 4x plus c. So at this point, what I'm looking at, guys, is I know that in my answer choice, it's got to have e to the 4x. I'm sorry, this should be, yes, e to the 4x there. So let me put that actually, yes. So I know that it's going to be not be letter E because it doesn't have that e to the 4x, okay? And I'm going to solve for c. It gives me my initial value is x is 0, then y must be 4. So that's 4, e to the 4 times 0 plus c. So we have 4 equals e to the power of c. And so if you notice, all right, this is telling me that I'm going to have that 4 in front, all right? But let me show you kind of how you can check it if you're having trouble with this. Right, if you go through answer choice A, right, so 4 times e to the power of 4x, if you plug in that 4 for y, okay, and 0 for x, you're going to get e to the 0 power, which is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Do the next one, right, do the next one, and you only get, in answer choice B, you only get e to the 0 power, which is 1, so it's not that one. So really it comes down to this decision for between A or C, right? Because this one's going to be 5, right? And the reason you're going to choose A is because there's nothing with this y in here that you need to subtract over, so we know it's not going to be plus or minus a number. right? The constant, that c, is in the exponent with it, which end up being that 0. So ultimately, that's why it's not c. I'll explain more of that in class and show you some other examples later on that kind of show you the difference. All right, 23. So same type of problem. We're going to move this y minus 2 over. I'm going to move the dx over. And I'm going to do the integral. So the integral of y minus 2 to the negative first power dy equals the integral of x minus 2 dx. Okay? So this is going to be the natural log of the absolute value of y minus 2 equals, this is going to be, let's see, 1/2 x squared, and then minus 2x plus c. All right? Similar thing that I just did before. I'm going to take each of these and make them powers of the natural exponential function to give me the absolute value of y plus 2 equals e to the 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus c. Now, this is what I was trying to mention on the previous problem. In the previous one, we just had the absolute value of y. So there was no like moving anything over. But now we have y minus 2 equals e to the 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus c power. So if I move that 2 over, it's going to end up needing to be e to the 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus c, and then I have plus 2. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit more work here so you can see what the answer is, but you'll notice that in terms of the answer choices, these don't look anything like what we're doing. All right, so it's got to be between A and B, and you've got this plus 2 here to show you that's why it's letter B. But let me show you the initial condition work. All right, so if I make y equal to 5 and plug in 4, that's 4 squared minus 2 times 4 plus c, and then plus 2. You have 4 squared is 16. Half of 16 is e to the power of 8. Minus 8, that's 0, so e to the power of c plus 2. So this constant is going to be 3. All right, so it shows you why this number here is going to be 3. All right, that's why 23 is B. Let's do 24. All right, so on this one, and I try to make this clear in the earlier in lessons, but if it's not, it's okay. You'll notice with this differential equation, we don't actually have, if I just highlight the right-hand side, we don't have anything with letter y. So if you don't have anything with letter y, you can actually just think of this as y prime equals 16 sine cubed x times the cosine of x, and just literally just do the antiderivative, right? Do the integral of each of them. So you have y equals, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this sine to the 4th power of x, which if I took the derivative would be sine to the 3rd power of x, or sine cubed, times the derivative of sine, right, which is going to be, all right, let me actually do it over here. I'm just talking about it. Let me do it. Okay. So d dx of sine of x to the 4th power is going to be 4 times sine of x cubed times the cosine of x. Okay? So when you look at this, right, I have almost everything there, but I don't have 4. I have 16. So to do the antiderivative, I just need to put another 4 here, so that when I take that 4 and move it to the front, when I take the derivative, it multiplies by 4 already there to make 16. So this is going to be my antiderivative. And I'm going to find the initial condition that when y is 16, I'm going to have x is, so I'm going to do the sine of pi over 2, and then take it to the 4th power, all right, and plus c. All right, sine of pi over 2 is 1. 1 to the 4th power is 1, so that's 4 plus c equals 16, so c equals 12. Again, that's not the answer. You'll notice it's not even one of our answer choices. But now the next step is I need to rewrite this as 4 times the sine to the 4th power of x plus 12, and I'm plugging in pi over 6 for x. So I'm doing 4 times the sine of pi over 6, the 4th power plus 12. The sine of pi over 6, that's 30 degrees, so the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. So I have 4 times 1/2 to the 4th power plus 12. All right, 1/2 to the 4th power is 1/16. That becomes 4/16, which is 1/4 plus 12. So my answer is 12 1/4. That's not there, but if you were to take 12 1/4, which is a mixed number, and make it an improper fraction, 12 times 4 is 48. 48 plus 1 is 49/4. All right, 25. All right, very similar problem here. We have we want to find a particular solution to this differential equation, so we're using separation of variables. Move the y squared over and move the dx over. All right, so really that's going to be y to the negative second power dy equals x dx. Take the integral of these. All right, when we did this in many units ago, we added 1 to our exponent, so negative 2 plus 1 is going to be negative first power. But if I took the derivative of that, I would get negative y to the negative second power. I don't want that, so I need to put a negative there. And this is 1/2 x squared plus c. Move the negative over. You get negative 1/2 x squared plus c. All right, and then this is really 1 over y, which I don't want 1 over y, right? I just want y. So I need to move that over and to make it y equals 1 over negative 1/2 x squared plus c. We're ready to plug in our initial condition. So when y is 2, or when x is 2, y is 1. So this is 1 when x is 2. All right, so that's going to be 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is going to be 2. That's negative 2. So 1 equals 1 over negative 2 plus c. Move that over, and you get negative 2 plus c equals 1. So c is equal to 3. All right, so my answer that I'm writing down is 1 over negative 1/2 x squared plus 3. But when you look at your answer choices, right, that's my answer. When you look at your answer choices, it's not there. Okay, so what I've noticed that the AP exam does is that because I have that fraction there, that negative 1/2, they're going to multiply everything by 2 to get 2 over negative x squared plus 6. All right, so this is still the same thing. When I look at my answer choices, all right, I've got this in the answer choice D, because if you notice, the denominator can be rewritten as 6 minus x squared. So that's why 25 is D. Okay, 26 I actually did earlier in number 22, so you don't need to do this again. All right, 27. All right, I'm going to first distribute this square to get minus x squared y squared. Then I'm going to factor out the y squared to get 1 minus x squared. Move it over. So dy over y squared equals 1 minus x squared dx. We just did this one, right? The integral of y to the negative second power. So that's going to be negative y to the negative first power equals, integral of 1 is x. This is minus 1/3 x cubed plus c. All right, I'm going to move over the negative and I'm going to flip it. So make it 1 over negative x plus 1/3 x cubed plus c. We've got an initial condition is when x is 3, y is 1. So when x is 3, y is 1. So y is 1 when x is 3. So the opposite of 3 plus 1/3 times 3 cubed. Okay, so that's going to be 1 over negative 3. We've got 3 cubed is 27. 1/3 times 27 is 9. All right, so if I move all that over, I get 6 plus c equals 1. So c equals 1 minus 6, which is negative 5. So my answer that I'm going to write, right, if this is not the AP exam, is y equals 1 over negative x plus 1/3 x cubed minus 5. So that's my answer for my y function. You'll notice I don't have that, just kind of like before. It doesn't look like this one, doesn't look like that one. So it's really between A and B. And like I said earlier, if you have a fraction in your answer, they're going to just multiply everything by the reciprocal of that to get rid of it. So it'll be 3 over negative 3x plus x cubed minus 15. All right, so if you look at our answer choice B, it is B. You might be saying, hey, that's not the same. The reason is they just put the negative up top. So they made the 3 on top, then the numerator negative, and everything else the opposite. That's why it's positive 3x minus x cubed plus 15. All right, so 27 is B. Now, like number 26, 28 I've already done, so I apologize for that. So you don't need to worry about 28. I did 28 when I did number 24. Last two, 29. All right, so which is the solution to this differential equation? So move the y over. What's interesting about this one because when you move the y over, it actually is in the numerator. So that's nice. So I'm going to do the integral of y dy equals the integral of 4x dx. That's 1/2 y squared equals 2x squared plus c. You'll notice the derivative of that would be 4x. Move the 1/2 over by multiplying by 2 to get 4x squared plus c, and then take the square root of both sides. So you get the square root of 4x squared plus c. So when I look at my answer choices, I already know I'm going to have the square root in it. Okay? I'm going to plug in my initial condition. So when x is 2, y is -2, the square root of 4 times 2 squared plus c here. All right, that's going to be 16. So the square root of 16 plus c is going to give me -2. So in order for this to be true, right, ultimately I need to take the square root of 4 to get a +2. We'll get the negative sign in front here in a second. You'll notice answer choices C have that negative sign in front. But in order to go from 16 down to 4, I need to subtract 12. Right, so 16 plus C equal to 4. C is equal to going to be -12. All right, so I know it's going to be C or D with a -12, but I need that negative in there. I need that negative because when I plug it in, I need to eventually take the opposite of that square root, all right, to give me that -2. So the answer choice is C. And the last one, number 30. All right, I'm going to move the y squared over, leave the 5 with the dx. We've already done this twice now, right? The integral of y to the -2nd power dy. So that's going to be the opposite of y to the -1st power is equal to 5x plus c. Move the negative over, gives you -5x plus c. And then I'm going to do put this 1 over -5x plus c. And the initial condition is when x is 0, y is 3. So that's going to be 1 over c equals 3. So move this over and you get c equals 1/3. So the answer I'm writing is y equals 1 over -5x plus 1/3. But now, since this is the third time this has happened, you know the AP exam is going to get rid of that fraction by multiplying everything by 3. So -15x plus 1. Let's see if we can find that answer choice. So 3 over 1 minus 15x. So letter choice D. And that's it, guys. That's all the questions for your review on differential equations. We'll go over lots of them in class, hopefully all of them. But if not, watch these videos to try to figure out the other ones. Good luck on the test.